Hey, everybody. We're here at the Check-In, a show where a couple of friends hang out on their lunch breaks and talk about life under ascendant fascism. Danielle Moody, so good to see you, and also allow me the privilege to announce you are back stateside.
I
We
am.
back. We got her.
We
We
got
got
her. We got her. Um, yeah, I landed 4 hours ago. Um, and folks have known because I have been doing live shows with you, with Waj, doing my solo show. And I was in Kenya for a little over 2 weeks. And so I just took a 15-hour flight back to America. And someone asked why, and I'm asking myself that too.
Yeah, I think this is one of those situations, everybody always like looks at something like Michael Jordan playing with the flu in the NBA finals. Cal Ripken is Iron Man streak of starting for the Baltimore Orioles. This I think in terms of live streaming, this is up there.
Who
Like
is this up there?
hopping off the flight, getting in front of a camera to talk about heavy shit. I tip my cap.
Yeah, I'll tell you that, every time over the last year, traveling abroad has been really necessary. One, for just like my emotional, spiritual, like well being. I need to get like away. But also, you just see just a different perspective of America. And coming back, I felt like as I was preparing to come back, that I was like flying into the eye of a hurricane.
Yeah.
But with a plane from like the Wright brothers. Like I just feel woefully unprepared for the mayhem that is this country. And like it's just wild talking to people, and they used to say when I would travel, like, hey, oh my God, America, like I've always wanted to go, or like I have family there or whatever. And now it's like, ooh, America, how you doing? Why don't you stay everyone in Kenya was, why don't you stay longer? Like, do you need to go back? That kind of feeling. And it's a different sentiment. It's a
It,
different sentiment.
it is, and I was thinking about this. We recorded last week, and news about Renee Nicole Good was breaking just as we
Yep.
were finishing recording our live stream. And I was thinking, right now feels like such a whirlwind of a time. Every single day, politically, personally, you name it, it is just it. You brought a hurricane. It is just an absolute deluge constantly, and it's one of those things where it will exhaust you, but it will also spin you around.
Yeah.
It will disorient you. I certainly am trying to still gain my bearings. I have been struggling. We talked about it in the last episode. We talked about the feeling of what it feels like to live under this and and the toll that it takes. We've arrived. I published an article, Danielle, in the past week, a few days ago, that basically said it's kind of time to stop denying the fact we're in the Second American Civil War.
Yes.
We're in the middle of it. And that is, I've been trying to sit with that and what it is to live in this country at the moment. And what you just said, it's actually really interesting because to get away from it and to spend time with others who aren't in that maelstrom, and they look at you like, do you have to go
Yeah.
now? And it's true, because it is like those moments of respite, and then you're back into the storm, and we're in the middle of it.
Yeah. And I think that I love your reference point to us being in the middle of a second civil war, because I think that if we're honest with ourselves, those of us that take time to actually analyze and reflect on where this country is and how we get to the places that we're in, America never stopped fighting the Civil War, right? Like we just changed methods and methodology and enacted policy that would make it so that we have a racial wealth gap in this country between white and black people, that we had an education gap between white and Black people. That when you look at, life expectancy and you look at jobless numbers and you look at all of these things, that baked into the fabric of America is oppression, right? And I think that there's I forgive me, and if folks in the chat like know this person's name, but there is a woman, a Black woman, and Khalil Green, I think who's on Substack, has a big following on Substack, who have both been talking about the fact that we need to stop comparing ICE to Gestapo and talk about ICE as modern day slave catchers, because they're following the same tenets and policies that were created nationwide in order to make Black enslaved people trying to build a better life, trying to get free. They made that a federal offense, right? And then were able to create laws that would deputize any white man to be a slave catcher and put bounties on people's heads. So when you understand the history of America, which no one really does, because that has also been a part of the protocol and the purpose of erasure, neglect, and indoctrination and lies, is that ICE is being paid $50,000 signing bonuses to kill, brutalize, dehumanize, humiliate um Black and brown people, Latino people, right? And also Black people, right? Because if you're white, they're leaving you alone unless you put yourself physically in the fray, which we have seen now with Renee Nicole Good, right? A white woman who put herself and said, I'm going to go down, I'm going to bear witness, I'm going to have a whistle, I'm going to do these things. And it cost her life. So we don't need, I think that a part of what is wrong, Jared, with like where America finds itself is that we always look outside of ourselves for the lessons. Whereas, like, the lessons are right in front of us about who America has always been. It's why I talk with Black folks, and folks are like, yeah, we've been here. Like, we've been here and our ancestors have experienced worse. Like, we're going to persevere because that's what we do, right? But like this shock and awe over what is happening right now, this is brutalization that Black people in this country, Indigenous people, have experienced since the beginning of time. So why do we have to reach for reference points in Europe, right? When you can just open a book.
Well, and there's so much that you just said that I want to unpack because it's all important. First things first, the old idea of Siddhartha, the prince who lives behind the walls and then discovers human suffering when he goes outside the walls
Right.
and he's
Yes.
suffering. Guess what? The people are suffering even when he's behind the walls. It's still happening. What's occurring right now in the United States of America is a moment in which the white supremacist, patriarchal, capitalistic, oppressive, and exploitative forces, they're now doing it free range. Everybody is like, you can't just hide behind the idea of, oh, they're just going to take care of these immigrants. They're just going to take care of these people of color. They're just going to arrest these people or whatever. It is now everybody.
Right.
And that is a moment where you're outside of the castle walls.
Yep.
The suffering has always been there.
Yep.
Now you have the opportunity to say, oh, I see what suffering is taking place. It's now being visited upon me and my friends and my family and loved ones and people that I don't even know who deserve my respect and love. And that is the moment where it can change. And when it comes to history, that's the wildest thing is we always want to look at fascism and Nazism as if they're aberrations that took place in Western Europe in the middle of the 20th century.
Yep.
Um, we don't like to look at the fact that the Nazis were incredibly inspired by the United States of America, took our
Yep.
laws, our eugenics, took our apartheid state, all of it. And what you just brought up after the Civil War, and for people who are like shaking their heads and are like, are we actually in a Civil War? The Civil War started before the firing on Fort Sumter. Like,
Yep.
it started with the abolition movement. It started with border wars. It started with all of these like movements, right? It just wasn't made official until the state got involved with it. That's when it took off. What happens after it? We need to do something. I don't know, a reconstruction. That's not going to work because we don't want, to hurt white people. Let's have a handshake deal. We'll hand over the South to the Ku Klux Klan and institutionalized white supremacy, and everyone will just go about their business.
Yep.
Then you get into 1950s, 1960s, and black people say, that's not enough. We deserve rights. We deserve to be treated better. Notice how long it took to even get there. And for a while, liberals are like, well, the country is growing. We're making more money. We're becoming more powerful. I guess we'll go ahead and give out rights or, to go ahead
Yep.
and stay sort of a revolutionary state. Now they're going to take it away. And where do they go, Danielle? They go to the past. That's all that these motherfuckers want to do. They want to go back to everything from the robber barons to the apartheid state. And by the way, it's everybody's on the table at this point. That's the frightening
That's
thing people need to realize.
that's the thing, is that the alarms have been going off in this country forever, right? 2020, we had the summer uprising. Why? Because we're home during the pandemic. And what do we see? What do we all see with our own eyes? We see a white police officer literally pull the life out of a black man.
And Danielle, just on that point, for people who are still struggling to keep up with everything, think about this. In 2020, we saw George Floyd brutally murdered in front of our eyes by the Minneapolis police. Who are the Democrats telling us are going to save us from ICE now? The Minneapolis police that we were just talking about defunding and moving that away from. That's fascist creep. What you just brought up, it's incredible that Minneapolis is the center of this and that it just keeps going down this road. But what you just brought up, like, it's the equivalent of being on a boat. You have to occasionally look at the horizon and be like, oh my God, I've floated out a ways.
I feel like a lot of this that we are witnessing is terrible. It is awful. It's horrific. It is traumatic. And it's also not new.
No.
And this is the thing that I like, it pains me to say because I need white people to really understand that when Black people have been trying to tell you for centuries about who the fuck this country is, about what it has done, about the fact that, that people have been jailed, beaten, and murdered, their homes torched, dragged out by the Klan, by police officers, bombed as late as the 1980s in Pennsylvania that was state sanctioned. Folks, like, this shit has been happening, but it was happening to the Black community, and it was made to seem justifiable because by birth, Black people are what? Criminals. Black people are what? Violent. They need to be put down, right? And they need to be kept in their place, right? So the justification for the policies and the domestic terrorism that has happened at the hands of police in this country, what Donald Trump has just done is said, hey, y'all, remember those things called slave patrols? Like, I don't know anything about history because I don't read a fucking book, but let's throw some money at the Proud Boys and the Oath Keepers and see if they don't want to rough up some minorities, and then they get to call themselves patriots and they get a full check.
And what is ICE at this point? ICE is a white male jobs program. That's what ICE is now. In an environment and an economy in which people are struggling to get jobs, they have created an independent paramilitary above all scrutiny and above all approach that is ideologically and economically dependent upon the dictatorial regime. That's what this is. They've
Correct.
stolen money, and they've
Yep.
now given that money to a bunch of people, and they're being paid handsomely to do this,
Handsomely.
to go around and harass people. And what you just brought up, by the way, you just said that people of color have been talking about this for forever. What was the sort of work around there that they were saying that to get something, to take
Yep.
advantage, to get DEI so they would get
Yep.
the job, they would get resources. Well, there ain't jobs anymore. There ain't resources anymore. All that shit's going away. So you can like give up on that and look around and be like, holy hell, we're in this together. And what are we dealing with right now? A fascist job program, which is what fascism was in the first place.
Mm.
Those of you who only pay attention to World War II for like tanks and planes and everything, go look at the other footage. It's a bunch of white men who are being paid to intimidate people and then go out and do things. It's a jobs program. And especially in this type of environment, all the signing bonuses, all of the money, the protection, all of it, this is how a fascist regime takes over. And it is now its own army. It is now an occupying army in the United States of America that is behaving like not just a fascist army, but also the slave hunters of old. Period.
It's just like, and then I think that what gets me, right? Like as we're witnessing this escalation of violence happen in the United States and people, a white woman, right, be murdered. Because Keith Porter, a black man, was murdered the week prior, did not make national news, did not make national headlines. Now people know his name because of the fact that Renee Nicole Good was murdered by ICE. Over 30 people were murdered in 2025 by ICE. And that's just the people, that's just who we know about, right? So I think that at the same time, what did I just see right before we hit live? 12,000 people have been assassinated by their government in Iran. The Iran regime, in a 5-day electricity, internet blackout, has executed 12,000 people for daring to want representative government. And so you watch this, Jared, you watch what the Iranians are putting on the table, what they are risking, right? You're hearing reports that there was a 23-year-old young woman, college student at Tehran University. Her parents had to bury her on the side of the road. She was shot point blank in the back of the head. And many other students were executed in the same way. And they're still going out. They're still going out into the streets. Like, I don't know that level of courage, bravery, tenacity, understanding that, like, we've already lived most of our lives on our knees. We can't do this anymore. And so you see this happening. You see the toppling of the Nepalese government. You see, South Korea. You see people taking action. And then the other day, I see a post from a white man who said, we can't do these comparisons to other countries. America is too big and healthcare is tied to our jobs. And there is just too much to lose if we all go on a national strike. And I'm like, are you not paying attention to the fact? So are you saying that people losing their lives, willing to risk the loss of life to further freedom, is nothing in comparison to potentially losing your job and your healthcare? Like,
But
this is the mentality.
and by the way, Danielle, these assholes have pushed it so much. How good is your health care? How good is your
Not
health?
that great.
That healthcare that is tied to your job. Most of us, by the way, are not in an economy anymore in which our jobs are actually tied to healthcare. Like you're all, I'm sorry, but a gig economy, there's a reason the gig economy got created. It was to make sure that you didn't have to pay people that shit. And they could just work without any protections whatsoever and you could exploit them. You look at Iran, it's not necessarily a single incident that created the situation in Iran. It's that their currency has been devalued. Guess what's going to happen if we lower interest rates and the Fed doesn't want it? Guess what's going to happen in this country? The only reason they're doing that is so they can goose the economy and Trump can, like, give his wealthy
Sell
friends,
more meme coins.
sell more meme coins. That's it. It's going to hurt everybody. So the currency is going down. What are they tired of? They're tired of corruption in government. Ding, ding, ding. You keep going down the line. We are in a revolutionary moment in world history. And if you go back and look, there are moments of stability and there are moments of revolutionary energy and power. We're in one. I don't know what to tell everybody. You can go to your job, you can do everything that you normally do, whatever. Shit is hitting the fan. Shit is hitting the fan right now. And we talked about this, God, going back to the end of the year. We talked about how many flashpoints we're going to have. You're right. ICE has killed
Yeah.
God how many people. We don't know how many people have been killed in El Salvador. We don't know how many people have been killed in any of these concentration camps. We don't know how many people have been assaulted. We don't know how many people have been terrorized. We don't even know. What do we know? We have an emotional understanding of it. We have an emotional understanding that these people are willing to fucking kill us. They're
Yeah.
going for sure. This is not going to stop. They've told us over and over this is not going to stop. Eventually, at some point, and that guy is right that some people are not going to risk it all. We've already seen those people. Those are the ones that are like, Trump isn't too bad. Y'all are being hysterical. You're overreacting. There will be adults in the room. Vote blue no matter who. And they just keep going and going and going and going. And those people, they will not be in the streets. And they will not. They'll put on an armband. Those are the people who stood by the side on their balconies and did the Heil Hitler.
Yeah.
Those are those people. And that story doesn't get told. We don't talk about the fact that the Nazis gained power because of the white middle class. We don't talk about how they went along with it. It's just the ruffians and all of that, right? Those people are not going to come out. The rest of us are going to. It's just getting to that point. And yes, America is a selfish country, and that is one of the reasons we became the major superpower. But this is not going to continue indefinitely. It can't. There's no chance of that.
I mean, what we are seeing in Minnesota is a test case, right? Like Donald Trump and this regime is seeing, okay, they have more masked agents in Minnesota right now than local law enforcement. There are more paramilitary ICE agents than there are actual designated Minneapolis PD. What does that tell you? Right? It's like we can take over, we can go, we can block streets. I watched them, yet another white woman, cut her seatbelt, bash in her window, and literally pull her out of the car because she said that she was a physician and she was on her way to an appointment and was trying to get around their blockade of a street so that they could go door to door. Show me your fucking papers. I don't even know why they're bothering to ask because it's not as if you show your fucking US citizen passport or you show your birth certificate. They fucking tell you it's fake and they drag your ass out anyway. Right? So it's like, I flew in and I get alerts. ICE is in New York. ICE is all over Queens. ICE is all over Harlem. Be careful, blah, blah, blah. Bring your whistle, honk the horn, tell folks, where it is, like where they are and what's happening. We're being invaded. This is an invasion. What the fuck else would you call this if this were happening in another country? The government is invading its own people. And the only thing Donald Trump has yet to do is a mass killing, which is what the Iran regime has done. And that I say yet.
Yeah, and I've got bad news for everyone. I've been having this argument with people when I've been having these conversations. Everyone says, "Well, he's looking for pretense to do that. He wants us protesting so that he can declare martial law, so that he can put that mindset is going to get people fucking conquered and killed." That sort of fight or freeze or fawn, all of that stuff, like that idea is going to get us in a lot of hot water. And anybody who looks at this and says like we need to tamp it down, Waltz has shown himself to be an absolutely ineffectual fucking leader. He got out there and called him weird, and it felt good for a little while. Like, I'm sure that felt very cathartic. I know that me personally, I was like, oh man, this guy's kind of got it. He's a failure. He is absolutely handed over the people of his state to a dictatorial federal government. And all these people are like, well, we just need to be calm. The Democratic Party, absolute failure. Absolute failure.
Did you fucking hear Cory Booker today?
Oh my God.
Cory Booker fucking said that no, he is not going to weaponize a government shutdown in order to stop funding
Yeah, it
ICE.
didn't work last time.
So you
And here's the thing, Danielle, they're not willing to do anything. They're not willing to do anything. And we need to recognize
nothing.
that. And I say that as somebody, I'm living in 2020 with everybody else. Like, and I've basically given up on the Democratic Party writ large. If you want to believe in the Democratic Party, take it over this year. If you can't, I don't know what to tell you. Go out and figure something else out. But they're not helping you. And I don't know how
No.
obvious it to be. They're not helping. The leaders aren't helping. So what happens now? Where do you go now? And it's about us. That's it. It's
That's
not
it.
there with whistles. It's literally chasing these motherfuckers out of your city. And yeah, some people are going to get hurt and some people are going to die. It's going to happen. I don't know how else to say it. I don't want to lie to people. I don't want to sugarcoat it. That's really scary and I get it, but they're already killing us. And they've been killing us for a long time. And it's to the point where we either like actually do something about this or we look up years from now and we're like, I can't believe that we let this happen. That's the choice at this point.
You know, I said this the other day. I was just like, and it's like the meme that goes around. We're at the point in America's history where 50 years from now, kids taking a exam, if there's still school and people actually still take exams, who knows, will be like, why didn't they do anything? Why didn't they stop this? And I remember learning in middle school, high school about the Holocaust. I remember learning about apartheid in South Africa. And I remember saying to myself, we're watching videos and we're debating in class, and I'm saying to my teachers, why didn't anyone do anything? Because you've been roped into believing that like the good guys win. You've been roped into believing that, like, when bad people do things, like they're taken care of. No! Bad people are running government. Bad people are on the Supreme Court. Bad people are on the federal bench. Bad people are the President of the United States and the Defense Secretary and the Homeland Security Secretary and so on and so forth. So it's like, how do you tell, like, how, I'm not a parent. But God damn it, I look at parents right now and I'm just like, I don't know what the fuck you were telling your kids. Regardless of what age they are, school is closed until February in Minneapolis. Kids were walking out in protest to certain schools that were still open, right? In the outer burbs. They were walking out. Fuck ICE. No more ICE. Stop terrorizing us. What are you telling them? You telling them they're overreacting? You telling them, oh, don't worry, wait till November, we'll take care of it? When you have fucking Democrats like Cory Booker and fucking Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer telling us, like, oh, don't worry, vote blue. Not even endorsing the people that have the audacity to talk about freedom and liberty and like where the fuck our money is going. Like, man, I tell you, like, if we're not right for revolution in this country, I don't know what the fuck it's going to take. But I will tell you, Jared, that I believe that before we get to summer in this country, before we probably get to spring, this shit is a powder keg. Donald Trump is an arsonist, and they are just like waiting, right? And it's going to go pop, pop, pop across states. Boom, 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 boom. And then people are going to be out in the street like just taken by surprise. It shouldn't be a surprise at this point.
No.
Because he's been telling you the plot for 10 fucking years.
Yep. It's been right there and it's been obvious. And you know what it reminds me of, Danielle? And it just sort of hit me with like a little bit of a chilling clarity. We're in another moment like the pandemic only the vast majority of Americans are like, I'm just going to go shop and go to dinner and do things. I don't believe that something is happening, right? Back then, we looked at the people who did that. We're like, oh my God, those people are insane. And now the vast majority of Americans are like, oh, isn't it awful that people are dying and these things are happening? Well, what are you going to do? Shopping, doing this, doing that. And those things, like, and I do it too. I have moments where I'm like, I kind of have to like dissociate for a few minutes. You know what I mean? And just be like, this is a horror. It's an absolute horror. And then like I snap to and I'm like, oh, that's right. I am an adult in the middle of a fascist completionist takeover of the United States of America. That isn't going to stop with the United States, by the way. They're going to get everything if we don't stop them. They're going for
He
it.
said there is no world in which America does not own Greenland.
That's
That
right.
is what this motherfucker said this week. He
They're
said
going.
there is no world in which that doesn't happen.
That's right. And
Okay.
and so what's going to happen at this point? And you know, I've often talked about this. The George Floyd protests in 2020 were not just about George Floyd. It was about the fact that we were living in the middle of a pandemic, and it was made clear that representative government had been so corrupted that they would not take care of us, and that the wealthy elites would willingly kill us if it meant helping their bottom line. This thing became a flashpoint. It became the largest protest in the history of the United States of America. It had multiple facets to it. That's what I've been talking about when I've been talking about 26 being a year of rage. This
Yes.
going to pop off in some way, shape, or form. I don't know if it's going to be another murder. I don't know if it's going to be a war with NATO. They just put more European troops in Greenland. They take this
Yes.
seriously. I don't know if it's going to be that. I don't know if it's going to be the attempted takeover of Colombia or Mexico or Cuba. You name it. I don't know what it's going to be. But there's going to be something that is going to lead to a spontaneous revolutionary air, and people need to get themselves ready for that. They need to be mentally and emotionally prepared for when that happens.
And Jared, I don't even know how to begin to tell anyone because I'm not sure how to be emotionally prepared. Like, again, I will say, I just landed back in the States a few hours ago, right? On an entirely different, wonderful continent, right? Life exists different. People, just move different, live different. And I'm saying the lie of America is that America was like the aspiration, right? For everything else. You get away with like community and tribal thinking and all of these things. It's the individual, it's the rugged individual, it's this, that, and the other thing. It's the nuclear family instead of the extended family. It's buy instead of like collective, right? Instead of collective care. It's silo, what I don't know because I had to go and get rest. I said, to be honest, there was no way that I was going to move from the end of 2025 and not have a few weeks where I could like breathe fresh air and get some sun. And some people will say, how dare you? People are dying. People are fighting. People are in the streets. Like, how dare I? I had to take care of my mental and emotional and spiritual state so that I could come back to the eye of the hurricane. But how do we tell people to prepare? Honestly, I don't fucking know.
I don't particularly either. I mean, I'm beat to shit. I'll just lay the cards on the table. Like I've been showing up to this show the past few weeks, just absolutely. I've a deer in headlights is where I'm at. It really is. It's so overwhelming and it's so exhausting, and the world and life is so much weight. The only thing that I can say is it's very much like having to go in for like a surgery that is necessary.
Mm,
And
mhm.
I don't I don't want to go in for a surgery. I don't know anybody who wants to go in who gets pumped up for it. You know what I mean? But that sometimes you have to do things in order to try and prolong your life and try and live
Yeah.
better, try and feel better. This is a painful ass moment, and I don't know exactly
Mm.
how to navigate it. I'm buckling. And that's the thing is like I'm going out, I'm organizing, I'm doing this stuff, I'm trying to get people to fight against this thing, and there are moments even in that. I used to say when I was a professor, Danielle, I used to say that you have to have a certain amount of authority in front of a class in order to control a class. But the best
Mhm.
thing that you can do is figure out when you can be vulnerable. Do you know what I mean? Where you're like, I don't
Yeah.
actually know everything. I have to give this veneer or whatever. I've never lived in a revolutionary situation before. The only thing I can do is go back and look at the works and the writings of, decolonization movements and structures and anti-fascist philosophers. That's the best that I've got. But I have to also admit that it's like I feel like I could break, and I'm sure
Yeah.
most people feel like that now. How would you not under an environment like this?
Because I mean, at the end of the day, we're human beings locked inside of this human experiment, doing the best that we can under the pressures and the expectations and the oppression that is thrown at us, right? Like, and I think that collectively in America, at least, you know, 5% of us, the majority of us, 10%, I don't know what the number is. I'm not a math person, but like, everybody's got to wake up because if they can kill a white mother, shoot her point blank 3 times in the head, and go on about their business, right? Like, again, these things have been happening to Black mothers, to Black people, to Black children since the beginning of time. White folks are okay because they're like, well, shouldn't have resisted, shouldn't have done this, shouldn't have done that. And now you're hearing the same language be used on a white woman. Shouldn't have resisted. She did look like she was weaponizing. She did. What? Right? The levels of justification that people will go through. So I say to people like, folks are like, buy water, buy food, arm yourself, like, wanting to be very practical and tactical. And I'm still saying, like, for white folks that are listening to this, like, again, they are less likely, even though we've watched it just happen, less likely to shoot and kill you than they are a group of Black and brown activists out there blowing their whistles, making human chains, right? And so everyone has roles to play in this moment. I feel like the Black community has been the role of educator, of sage, of pastor, of reverend, of spiritual leader that has been trying to wake up a level of consciousness in this country to say if they can treat one group like this, eventually it will fucking come for you, right? So it should not be allowed to happen under any watch, under any group. If we are to call ourselves a fucking democracy, if we are to say that we believe in liberty, which obviously right now we do not, right? And so the fact is that it's time. I don't know what other time is going to be ripe right now for folks to recognize that you can continue to say, well, it's not my community. Thank God I'm not in Minnesota. Thank God I'm not in LA. Thank God I'm not in Chicago. Thank God I'm not in New York until it's at your fucking doorstep because that's where it's coming.
I see all these people. I work with communications in terms of like class-based organizing. And you see all these people who are like the cult of Trump, which I talk about all the time. This is absolutely a death cargo cult that they are in. That's what MAGA is. There is a cult of whiteness that people need to wake up from, which was the idea that because you were part of a certain race, and by the way, you might hate racist, you might recognize white supremacy, you might look at Donald Trump and say, oh my God, what a racist. MAGA, what a racist thing this is. There is a cult of whiteness for even progressive white people,
Yep.
for even center left white people, you name it. And what keeps getting missed is there's a voice in the back of your head, and maybe you're not aware of it, but you're like, this is bad, but I'm protected. At some point, it will stop. It's like if anybody has ever gone to the ocean and you've seen the waves start to grow, the tide's starting to come in, and you're like, oh man, those waves are coming pretty close. Well, I'm
Yep.
okay. I'm okay.
Because I'm up on the dune.
Right. And then you're like, oh, it's starting to come up a little bit more. That's weird. I'm sure it'll stop. Otherwise, there would be a sign here, right? Otherwise, a security guard or a police officer would tell me to move. Somebody in authority would take care of me because I'm part of the group. And at some point, you have to realize the biggest cult and the biggest scam has always been whiteness.
Yes.
From the
Come
beginning
on.
of modern civilization, the main weapon has been the lie that if you are part of this group, you are always going to be part of the in group. You're always going to be taken care of. Bad things are going to happen, but if you just keep your voice down and hang out, you're going to be okay. And
Yep.
that's how the Confederacy worked. That's the reason why that only the upper crust in the Confederacy were actually slaveholders, and everybody else was kept poor and united underneath them. They took advantage of those people. White supremacy is the biggest grift, it is the biggest cult, and people need to wake up from it. And there's
Hmm.
a reason why something like the death of Renee Nicole Good resonates with some people, which is I could look them in the face as a white woman and say, I'm not mad at you. Let them know I don't mean you any harm. And then they will shoot you in the face. And
Yep.
they won't even think twice about it. They will celebrate it. They will gloat. They will bond over it. The cult of whiteness is what has to go away if we are going to, in some way, shape, or form, move forward. It's the main underlying principle of capitalism.
I mean, it is the reason why you continue to keep poor whites and poor blacks separated, even though they have what? The same economic desires, the same economic obstacles. But what was said? If I can teach the poorest white man that he is better than the best black man, you can pick his pockets. And it is I mean, it has been that since the beginning. If I can give the poorest, stupidest white man a badge that says, now you're a slave catcher, look at you, you're important, you matter, right? Go round up those folks. Now, all of a sudden, you got him. You got his attention. And it is the same thing that Donald Trump is doing right now. He's calling them patriots. Homeland Security and DH, they're talking about take your country back, make your country great again, right? Make it white again. Donald Trump said, I'm rescinding all protections for Somali people. Why? Because he fucking hates Ilhan Omar. Hates her. He has an entire revenge fantasy. She is at the center, right? She's been living rent free in his fucking head since she got into Congress. So it's, I feel like, and again, what did we see with her? Democratic establishment rode a bus right over her. Right now, you think they're coming out and speaking and standing by her? No. Come for one of us, you come for all of us? No. So they show us who they are, right? Even those that are not in the actual club of whiteness are in the power club, and they don't want to give up their little fiefdom. Cory Booker loves being a senator that drops a rap verse and still the audacity of him to refer to himself as young. The man is in his 50s. He's like, oh, I know I have my ear to the ground. What ground? Right? So it's like we have to be able to see these people for who they've always shown us that they are and not take the crumbs anymore. Right? Like, oh, well, Cory Booker's cool and he stood on the floor for all of those hours. And what did that amount to? He still took a picture with fucking Netanyahu. He still wears his little button saying that Israel is the greatest place on the fucking planet. Right? So fuck him.
Fuck them. Fuck them. And I mean, it's insane watching Danielle. There's no training here. Like they're like, oh, they're just not being trained enough. Which, by the way, is what powerful people have said about police forever. They've said the same thing about prison guards. Basically, the entire situation here is you get a bunch of white men and you take advantage of them, you steal everything from them, and then you pay them to hurt the people that they hate and that you blame for
Yes.
it. That's it.
That's it.
That's it. You can't reform ICE. You can't make ICE do well the same way you can't make modern law enforcement do well. Going back to all of the liberals who for years were like, the FBI will save us. Have you read a fucking book? Have you read a fucking book about what the FBI has done? Oh, the CIA, they're going to take care of Trump. Do you know the CIA? Do you know what the CIA has done? Do you have you been alive more than 24 hours? Do you have any idea that all of these systems they grow on each other?
Yep.
You don't get ICE if you don't have an occupying law enforcement force that is
Yep.
a supremacist weaponized arm. You don't get that unless you have a white supremacist classist army that is taking money from people and establishing power. You cannot sit there and say, oh, if ICE just got more training. If you are running for office right now and you can't even utter the words abolish ICE, you shouldn't be able to go outside without being spit on. That's it. If you can't even say, and by the way, I've been trying to say this more and more because I want to get it down. If these people, if ICE agents and the people who control them go to jail, they should consider themselves lucky that that's
Mm.
the worst that happened to them if they're held legally responsible. And there is a problem if you look at the people who are supposed to hold them responsible and they're like, well, if they just, if they got reformed or if they just got better training, don't kid yourself that ICE has been around now for over 20 years. And guess what? A lot of Democrats have controlled them and funded them and been fine with them. These are the same people who said, hey, with this defund the police thing. Oh, let me move my kente cloth. Hold on. Let's not go so far as to say we should defund the police. In fact, I think that we should fund the police even more. In fact, I think we should hire even more of them. These people are part of the exact same system that has to be razed to the ground. If you can't say abolish ICE, if you can't say that these people need to go to jail, if you tell people, hey, calm down, it'll be all right, the people are in charge, everything will be all right. If you are one of those motherfuckers, you should not be in polite society. You not only
No.
not be trusted with power, you shouldn't be able to show your face without being hounded down the street like an ICE agent. Period. That's it.
I mean, this is the thing. And I think that this is like where the responsibility of the public, people keep saying, like, what should I be doing? What should I be doing? 435 seats are up in the House. Not that I think we're going to have midterm elections, but just FYI, all the motherfucker seats are up, right? 25 seats, I think, are up in the Senate. Folks, these people that have been in office for your entire lives, have they made your lives any better? Have they given you anything? Can you point to anything and say, thank God Chuck Schumer has been my senator for the last half century, right? Like, because without him, I wouldn't have what exactly?
I mean, you could say Obamacare, but that was a compromise. And where's that now? How's that working?
Gone. I just, I have long felt that the two-party system was a failure, that it did not give the people enough choice. It's like either go with the devil you know or the devil that dresses up for you and says like all the nice things but still doesn't do shit,
It's
still
good.
burns you,
Yeah.
right? At the end of the day. And so when folks say like, oh, blue, vote blue no matter who, choke on that shit because I'm not doing it. Like, choke on that. You're going to actually have to prove, right, what it is that you fucking stand for. Because right now, I'm telling you, the establishment don't stand for fucking much. So you don't deserve to be in power. And if that means, oh my God, then Republican, okay, great. I'll hold out. I'll keep holding out for somebody that's worth a fucking damn. Then telling myself that, like, this is the best that we can do. Folks, this is not the best that we can do. We can do fucking better.
We're in hell. We're in hell right now. And if any liberal wants to tell me that we are in the best of all possible worlds at this moment, that liberalism has delivered, like, good luck, man. Good luck if you actually believe that.
I just don't know how you would even fix your mouth to form those words and say, like, oh, this is the best that we can do. Like, and the thing is, you say we are in hell, and I believe you, and I'm telling you, it can always get worse.
It can get hotter.
It can get hotter because every time that we think that they're done, they frack to hell. They frack past it. We're at the fucking core of the earth right now, right? Like, it is molten lava in this bitch, and it is going to get worse because they are doing everything that we are allowing them to do. They're going to continue to steamroll over us until we say we've had a fuck enough.
Daniel Moody, I'm glad to have you back stateside.
I'm not so sure I'm glad to be here, but I'm always, always, my friend, glad to be with you.
It's always nice to have someone back in, back in the pit with you. We are not going to have a check-in next week. We'll be back the week after that. Thank you so much for everybody for tuning in and the kindness and support. Y'all are the best. Danielle, thanks so much.
I appreciate you, my friend.
Hey, you. Bye, everybody.